Hi there everybody, it's UK independent demonstrator Halsey here from slimandstylish.com. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm using the To a Wild Rose photopolymer stamp set. This is from the annual catalogue of Stampin Up, and I have created this cute but very bright hello card with it. So let me show you how to make this card. I quite like it because it's using one of our doilies and I haven't used them for ages and I love them, so I was quite excited when I designed it. So to get started, I'm going to be using the main outline rose. This set is quite special because you have the outline and then you can stamp this in a lighter colour and then stamp this in a different colour on top, and it creates a very 3D realistic rose. I'm blending it, but that's what you can do, and I do have videos showing you how to do that on my channel, so do have a look. So I'm going to start off with Memento ink. I have just thrown my snail to the other side of the room. It was balanced on the Memento and I didn't move it and I just picked the Memento up. Bad me. Right. Stamp that down. See, I love it. If you are going to use the 3-layered approach that is on this, so you are going to use stamp this, then stamp that on top, then stamp that one. Use your Stamparatus so you can get it all in the right place, because it can be quite tricky if not. So I've got my Daffodil Delight pens. I'm going to start with the dark. I'm going to come in from the centre. And then I'm going to go around all of the tops of the leaves. On the outer ones, I'm just doing the curves. I am not doing all of the top, I'm just doing slight bits of it. And then these bits here that have got the lines, I'm doing those as well. Okay. And then I'm coming over with the light Daffodil Delight, and I'm just colouring over the top of those. I'm not blending at this moment, I'm just going over the top of everything so that I get a base colour on, because then I've got my pineapple punch to play with. Okay, and with the pineapple punch, I have got the bright one, the dark pineapple punch. I'm going to go over where the dark Daffodil Delight is, and I'm going to just give it some extra shading. Okay, and once I've done that, I'm going to go back over again with a light Daffodil Delight, and this time I'm going to play over where the dark bits are and just blend everything in. Sometimes the blends is all about building up to the colour shade that you want. You can go over as many times as you like, but it's best to do it in stages because you can't take it off. You can keep going over until you get to the desired colour you want, but if you go too much, you actually really can't take it off. There's the lifter, which you want to use in a second. That is a very good tool, but it doesn't take it all off. I'm just going to finish up like that. And then I have the colour lifter here, and I'm just going to go over the bits where I think the sun will shine, just so it gives it that extra little bit of 3D shading through it. And that's my flower, and that's the blending done. Grab my snips, a little bit of fussy cutting here. So when I do the fussy cutting, I prefer to keep the scissors quite low, so you're cutting more this end than up here. If you do that, you just cut in snips, whereas here it's a lot smoother and you can move the paper around in the scissors. And I find keeping my scissors in one direction and moving the paper around to be easier. It doesn't leave so many jagged bits. There we go. Sorry, I'm not very talkative when I fussy cut. For some reason I panic that if I'm distracted and talking, I'm going to end up like cutting bits off. Doesn't feel as bad if you cut a bit off a petal, but if you're cutting around an animal and you behead them, I feel like a bit of a murderer. Right, so there we go, almost done. Right, so I've got my backing piece of Whisper White. So this is 8.5 centimetres by 12.8 centimetres. I've got a funny story about that, I will tell you. But before I do, I'm going to be stamping the leaves on the background using Smoky Slate. So I've got that here. So when I get my Whisper White come through, we have a guillotine at work, an industrial one. And you can put the settings in and run it through. So I run through a whole pack at 9.5 centimetres by 13.8, and it does for all my bases, and I have a whole chunk of them and I work my way through them. But for some reason, I don't even know what got wrong with me. I cut a whole pack, so that was however many sheets, 48 sheets, and I cut them all to 8.5 centimetres by 12.8 centimetres, which I never use. So I've now got slightly smaller pieces which I'm playing with. But actually, since I've started playing with them, I do quite like having a smaller size actually, because you can add more around the side. Like I've used glitter paper here. I never use glitter paper, so it's actually been quite good for me to have a bit of a change. So I've just stamped it like that, so it gives a bit of detail in the back. And this is the laziest thing ever. Look at this. Done. That's my leaves. How lazy was that? I know. So that goes on there. And this is practically just building it up now. So these are our pearlized doilies. I like them. You've got this side here, which is really shiny, or you've got the back, which is just a matte white. We're using the shiny side. Now, I've got some of our washi tape here. I know, this is the Stampin' Up washi tape. It's in the annual catalogue. You're not going to see it, but I find washi tape is so good for helping to hold everything in the right place. So I'm going to pop that over like that. And this is where the washi tape comes into its own, because you're never going to see it, but it's stuck back there and it helps keep everything correct. So now I want a piece of Whisper White. I've got a little bit of scrap. There we go. And I'm using the Hello stamp now, which I forgot to take out my case, so it's there. I'm doing a lot of Hello cards recently because for those of you that know me, you would know that my nan is in a residential nursing home. And do you know, the staff are absolutely brilliant in there. We've got this horrible, when I'm filming this, this is probably going to be a month in advance, so hopefully it's gone, but currently we've got that horrible coronavirus. and they are so good at looking after us. So I'm making a load of hello cards in my next few videos, and they're all going to go to the home because it's on lockdown. Obviously won't lick the envelope, I'll leave them all open, but they're going for the lovely staff who are working so hard. So this is the new punch that's in the new spring summer catalogue, and I'm just popping the ribbon holes in. To kind of make it into a little buckle. Very cute. And I have the pineapple punch ribbon here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pop that through the back, through the front, not very far. I'm just doing this as detail, so it doesn't matter. Let's give that more of a pronounced. So again, my little Stampin' Up washi is going to come in really handy. I do love this. I put it across my envelopes when I'm doing like team gifts and things like that. I put the Stampin' Up across because I think it's quite cute having the logo. Yeah, so I quite like that. And that's going to go onto there. This is all just building the card up, by the way. It's layers, this card. Layers and layers. Right, so next up is the fun bit. So that will go on there, you see. So you only see a little bit of the leaves at the back anyway. But the next bit is where we play with the glue darts. And I've got my paper piercer here somewhere. There we go. When I actually have a day that I can do filming, I try and like knock out about 10 films all in one go, and then just schedule them on YouTube. That's kind of how I work best, because I also work full time. So trying to get a day to myself is quite hard sometimes. So by the time you get towards one of the later videos, and this is one of the later ones I'm doing, over on this side you've got scraps and scraps from all the previous cards, because I make, put it over there, make, put it over there. So then I always, like, my paper piercer and different things are always under like a heap of cutouts and stamps that I'm not using. It's really very messy. It's a good job you can't see it. So where I've put the glue dots, I am just going to put a few twists of the ribbon in. So ribbon is great, but it twists where it wants to twist. Don't try and fight it. Just play with it. Get it there. I'm only putting a few in. There's the other one. The glue dots are pretty hard to see sometimes on this, so there we go, my snips. Now it's up to you. You can either cover it again in washi tape to make sure this sticks. I'm not going to, because I know I'm sticking this up with dimensionals anyway, so instead I'm just going to put the dimensionals over the top of the ribbon to make sure it stays in the right place. And I'm just going to put about 4 on here because I want the ribbon to stay, and I also want the backing to stay. There we go. But if you wanted to play and make sure that there was more washi tape on there to make sure it was well and truly definitely stuck, you go ahead. But for me that's okay, and I'm just going to lay that on there. There we go. Hello! I realised I did this a bit higher up. I'm not caring. No cares given, it's a little bit lower this time. I've got my cardstock at the back. This is Daffodil Delight. I'd done this one in Pineapple Punch, so that's why you've got the 2 shades differences. You could do it in either because you've used the blends for both. And I've also got some glimmer strips. So I got all my glimmer paper and I just cut into loads of strips so that I could add some extra details onto the cards. For glimmer paper, I always find it's best to use your Tombow. My snail seems to pull it, and the sticky strip kind of works, but to me Tombow is the best glue on glimmer paper. I'm just going to pop that towards the edge. Oh look, I didn't measure that up very well. I guesstimated it. So I'm just going to, while that's drying just a second, I'm just going to do my base of my card. So I've got a piece of the thick Whisper White cardstock. It's A4, so I've cut it in half and then I've scored it in half. And then what I do with my cardstock is I have a Stamparatus plate that is made up like this. And it has these on there from the, oh, Love What You Do stamp set, I think they are, possibly. They've got at Stampin Up, homemade by, and I just stamp this on each one. So then I grab my pen. Have I got one? And I just say homemade by Halsey. That's Slim and Stylish. .com. So that I've got my Stampin' Up have an angel policy if you're using there, so that covers the angel policy. But also if I'm doing craft fairs and things like that, people know where they can get the cards from. My snips. There we go. And then I'm just going to stick that onto there. I'm going to do it using snail. Like I said, I don't have much success with sticking onto glimmer paper. And sorry, my Tombow. So I find that Tombow is normally better. There we go. Pop that onto there. And then to finish up my snail, I'll just grab it. I said I threw it across the room earlier and I actually had. So there we go. I'm actually going to be really backwards and put the snail onto the base. Normally you would put it onto the back of here and stick it down, but as I've just glued that, I want it to stay in place. So I'm doing it a bit backwards for you. But there we go. There is the card using the To A Wild Rose stamp set. What do you think? If you like this stamp set, To A Wild Rose, you can get it from my store. Head to stampinup.com, go up to the top header and click buy. Add it to your basket. Don't forget to use my hostess code because anyone who shops for me gets a little goodie for me as a thank you. And if you've liked the video, don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye.